All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Newfane Selectboard meeting. It is September 6th, 2022, and Juanetta, has this meeting been properly warned?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. Are there any additions or amendments to the agenda? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to introduce everybody. On Zoom, we have Katie Johnson-Applin and Ann Gallo. In person, we have Jeff Chevalier, myself, Angela Sanborn, and on the phone, we have Michael Fitzpatrick. So, are there any additions or amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I
Ann,
want to make sure we discuss Nancy Reese's property.
can we put that in old business?
Yes,
I believe she's gonna be unscheduled. She's supposed to be here.
Okay, unscheduled members of the public is good. Anyone else? Hearing none, we're going to move. We have proposed to the select board and voted that we will have several meetings to address the speeding issues in the town of Newfane and traffic calming. And the first of several meetings, we will start with Jay Wilson to discuss what we can do in the town as far as roads and such. Good evening, Jay Wilson.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So I guess I'll start out with some of the stuff that we've done over the last few years. One of the first things that had to happen, at least on the Dover Road corridor, was the signage need to be any of the speed limit, the signs, the stop signs, speed limit signs all needed to be changed. Ours were undersized and so forth. Any kind of regulatory speed limit, speed signs, and they need to be updated. So, 5 years ago, maybe the town got a grant for to replace part of the signs from the line down to South Newfane Village, and then we replaced 2 years ago, I guess, we replaced the rest of the signs from there and then down to Route 30. That makes it easier for enforcement. You know, all the signs are up to date and so forth. We're still probably lacking a couple of signs because they need to be within so far of every intersection, and depending on the speed, they can only be so far apart and so forth. But we're in decent shape on that. We've added 5 radar feedback signs, which do seem to help. I've got data showing that from the time people first get caught on the sign until they go by it, there is a slowdown. We've talked about every possibility, whether it be, speed bumps, and the more research you do, the more confusing it becomes. Nothing is 100% effective. Many of them have adverse reactions. Brattleboro, I guess Ann could speak to them. She spoke with Brattleboro. I spoke with Manchester. The speed, Manchester did an inverted speed bump. Brattleboro did the raised speed bumps that are removable. They just had them there for a season. They did help, but people that lived there didn't like them. The noise is just awful. It said it actually affected their quality of life. So, and with Manchester, they're filling them in. They've actually dug them out, repaved them, and they're gonna have to fill them with something for the winter so that they can plow. They're so far not very impressed with them. So it's difficult to find an answer. And of course, you've got the Depot Road, Dover Road corridor is a federal aid highway. So it's a little more restrictive than what we could do on, a side street it's just a town road. So I think Ann's idea of just starting to go through all the possibilities. Crosswalks, lighted crosswalks, where we can get them is good. We're working on that for Newfane Village. It's a slow process. It takes forever, but it is being worked on. The sidewalk meeting is coming up for Newfane Village on Thursday night.
Yes.
So any of the village residents should try to attend that either by Zoom or in person. And if we can get some reasonable sidewalks so that we can have a couple of crosswalks in the village on Route 30, that'll be huge. There is a possibility of using speed limit signs that are lighted. Seem to be really popular in Maine, and I guess they are acceptable in Vermont. And maybe draw people's attention to it. Same with the covered bridge signs. None of the trucks ever seem to notice those, so there is the possibility of doing the lighting, the LED lights around the outside. We have, I think, more traffic than what we had 7 or 8 years ago, it seems like. At least working in the road, it seems like there's a lot more people on the road. Everybody's in a hurry. The speeding isn't a paved road only, it's on the dirt roads. I'm getting as many complaints on dirt roads as on the paved roads. So I don't know the answers. We're trying to... Yeah, go ahead, Ann.
If you're done, I just wanted to put some ideas around how we might structure our organizations going forward, because you're doing an excellent list of all the issues. But I think in order to have a discussion, we'll go through more on a one-by-one topic.
And you keep breaking
But was there
up.
more you wanted to say? I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. Oh, sorry. Let me try to go to a different spot. I'm sorry. I'm not home.
Okay.
I was trying to say that I wanted to go over some of these topics more one by one so that we can get a better idea of how we might address each one of them. Can you hear me now? Is that
Yeah.
better? Okay.
Yeah.
That's much better. Thank
So I didn't mean to cut you off, Jay. I thought you might be done, but was there more you were going to say on this issue or?
No, I was
Okay.
going to get comments and see what others
So
are thinking.
I just wanted to try to put more of a, give people more of an overview of how we hope to go through this, what we had discussed, especially for those who are joining the conversation for the first time. We're hoping to have several meetings regarding just the traffic calming issues at the beginning of the select board meetings. And today, the topic we wanted to focus on was speed bumps. And both, a number of us have done some research on it. It is certainly not the final, end all be all, but it definitely is some more details. I just wanted to be clear that in other meetings, we wanted to go over other topics. So next meeting, we were hoping to have that the sheriff, Anderson, will be able to join us and we can really focus on the issues of enforcement. And then at other meetings, a number of the items that Jay has talked about in terms of either lighted signage or other kinds of things that we might pursue, to discuss those in more detail and see what we might want to do. But I also just wanted to sort of set some expectations. I think it is really true around the country that people are experiencing problems around increased traffic. Why? Or in speeding, not so much traffic, but speeding. And why that's happening, I think all of us might have our own explanations of why. I really don't know, but I certainly know it's true here and it's true every place I've been traveling recently. I don't think we're going to solve all our problems, obviously, but I do think that we could set up a process where we can be monitoring the situation more closely and have a ongoing conversation about what we might be able to do. So those are some of the things that Jay and I and the folks on the select board have been talking about. And I think we could get into some of those ideas. We've been looking to see what some other communities are doing, particularly in Brattleboro, how they have a separate group of folks from the community, as well as people from the select board and the road foreman, talking about traffic on like a monthly basis. They have a form that people can submit that people can let the committee know about where they're seeing increased traffic problems and ask for it to be looked into. So I think that one thing that I would hope could come out of these meetings is a discussion about agreement on a process that we want to put in place so that we as a town are not waiting for things to sort of hit the horrendous stage where everyone is pulling their hair out, but rather that we're monitoring it on an ongoing basis, even beyond just these calls. So today I just want to talk more about what we've learned about speed bumps or speed humps. But let me say first, Jay, can you clarify two things? Can you define what the differences are between a speed bump, a speed hump, and an inverted speed bump? And then could you clarify if we have the legal authority to install them on either Dover Road, Depot Road, or I know on our town roads we can, but
Yes.
Depot and Dover Road are sort of a different situation. Could you just address those two for us?
Sure. So the inverted ones, I've not seen temporary ones. They all seem to be actually dug into the road and paved, and those are the one in Manchester Village, I think. Within a few days of installing it, one of the select board members' family bottomed out in it and hit the bottom of their car.
Ooh.
They're not thinking this is ideal, but they were trying it just to see what happens. It's in the area of Burn. The humps and bumps, I think it has more to do with how they're placed. The one in Brattleboro was like a series of bumps. And that one that's a removable, has to be up October, the end of October or something like that, and not put back down until chance of snow is passed in the spring. And that one, I believe the price range on those is between $5,000 and $10,000. And you have them down basically half the year, and the other half of the year you have to store them. They were good, according to the previous Director of Public Works in Brattleboro. They were well designed. They designed them for the speed limit, the width of your road, and the type of traffic you have. And they were well done. The company that did them, he thought, did a great job. But again, the people that are very close to them, it was pretty undesirable. So
What they describe, Lynn, I see every hand up, but let's just go through this discussion, then we'll open it up for comments. But I know that the email we received from them, they said that they removed it because of the sound was too loud.
yes.
I don't know if there are any speed bumps that are currently down in Brattleboro, but when Jay and I were talking about this the other day, we were realizing that given that they have to come up before the snow goes down, in reality, we're not going to get it down this season. We cannot, if we decide to go forward with speed bumps or humps, we cannot get them down before the spring. And so if that's what we want to do, we can get all the planning and process to make that happen. But it does afford us the time to really think this through and check it out. I would like to suggest, I think, Jeff, you could help us out in a second with where the inverted speed bump is located in Manchester. I know some folks were planning to go and try to and see what it was like in Manchester, drive over it, and then perhaps stand by the side of the road if it was safe to do so, and see how loud it was. I would like to find out if there are any other speed bumps in either Brattleboro or someplace else, and if people could then check them out before we incur the expense. It would be really good if people had some experience of what it felt like or what it sounded like to hear these speed bumps. I will try to find out where they might be located so that we could send a group of testers out to go listen and see what that sounds like. Jeff, could you remind us where it was located, the inverted speed bump?
The one I saw was around the Riley Rink area. And I know there's a couple others in Manchester. I think Jay said around Burr and Burton. There's one, and I think there's one in the village as
Okay.
well. So.
Okay.
Anything else, Jay, that we should be saying about speed bumps at this point in time?
I think the only thing is you have to make sure you have a certain amount of signage with them, to warn people about them, so they don't damage their cars when they hit them too fast.
Right.
And so forth.
Right.
And I'm sure there's a regulatory amount of space, how many signs you got to have, which may or not be a problem in the village, adding more signs.
Mm-hmm. And do we have the legal authority to install them on Dover Road if we want to?
They didn't tell us yes or no. We could put them and try to get a firm answer. They recommended against it, but I don't think they came out and said no. So
that was VTrans. Is that who has to authorize?
VTrans was dealing with Federal Highway on that.
Okay. So I think that was all that we wanted to cover. Was there anything else, Jay, that you wanted to put on the table before we open it up? I see you have your hand up, Steve. I'll get there to you in a second.
No, I think that's it.
Okay, then let me first turn to Lynn and then Steve.
Can I say something?
I'm sorry.
That's
Sure.
okay. I recognize there are a lot of people here for this discussion, and if you raise your hands, we'll call on you to speak and we'll go from there, but we'll start with Lynn first.
And let me just say then, Angela, if you could be calling on people since you
I
can
would
see
love to.
everyone. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask us to be real clear when we're talking about speed bumps versus speed humps. And I wanted to know if in Brattleboro they had speed bumps or speed humps, because I think you're going to have a different reaction of people and a different sound level of people going over one versus the other.
I don't know the
You have
answer.
an
Do you,
answer to
Jay?
that, Jay?
Hang on, I'm just looking up which ones they had.
In the meantime, can we take another question?
Sure.
Steve Levine, and then Margot and Carol. Go ahead, Steve. In one moment.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good.
good evening.
Yeah. So my question was similar to Lynn's. I was wondering if there's any difference in response to the speed humps versus the speed bumps. If one is better than the other, or they're basically the same.
Margot,
That's my question.
Carol,
Well, I can address their.
okay.
If you go to Living Memorial Park in Brattleboro, on the hill coming down from the pavilion and the skate park, there are 2 speed bumps. And then at the bottom of the hill, there's a speed hump. I know the nominal speed limit I think they're pushing for is 15 miles an hour there. So, but you could definitely hear people go over both of them. And if you stand there for 20 or 30 minutes, you'll hear people bottom out on both of them and find out what that sounds like. It's kind of loud on in both occasions, but people definitely speed down that road pretty quickly. So.
Great, thank you. Sorry, Margot, you had a question?
My understanding is that speed bumps are a problem for the plows. Are speed humps such a problem?
I don't know.
Yes, they have to be removed from the winter also.
Yeah.
And Brattleboro had humps, not bumps on the is that called Maple Street, or what is that street that goes past the park?
Is that Guilford?
Guilford Street, yes.
Okay, Carol?
I just wanted someone to describe the difference between the bump and the hump, just visually, what's the difference?
I believe the hump is a longer period.
Yeah.
And the speed bump is just
Okay,
smaller.
thank you.
It's more gradual rise.
Um,
A bump is like this.
Yeah,
And a hump.
is the one that
up
goes
to
kind of like
it's
that?
a ramp, and then it's flat on the top, and then goes down.
Okay, thank
That's
you.
why I thought it might not be so challenging to plow.
Right.
Thank you, Margaret. Jay, do you have anything? Did you find anything that you were looking at? One second, Mike. We have
So,
people
yeah,
do it.
bumps probably would not be used on a town road. They're more for a parking lot where people are going exceptionally slow. Humps are just a more gradual one that you would have to find on a road.
We're gonna have Mike Fitzpatrick from the select board speak, and then we'll go back to you, Lynn, and you, Steve, with another question. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think on that Dover Road, I mean, if I remember rightly, even like when Todd was looking in on it, I think Jay too, the state told us, because that was a federal road, we could not put islands, or one time, remember they wanted to put like a planters and curbing or something like that along the road and in the middle, and they told us none of that, or the speed bump. And another thing I'm kind of curious about, you know, if we put something in the road, like speed bumps or speed hump or whatever you want to call it, anything, any object. And somebody comes along and tears for the part of their car part on it or whatever, you know, I mean, are we the ones that get the bill? Because I know if you're a landowner, you put something outside the road, somebody comes along and hits it, they could come back and sue us, the owner that put the thing there. And if we're putting these across the road, I mean, a lot of these cars, you see them going along the road now, I mean, they're barely off the road. If they have to come along and hit that, rip their front end out and all this stuff, I mean, who's gonna pay for all this stuff? Is it our fault for putting that out in the road? Or whatever, I mean.
One would think with
These
signage.
guys, like when they come in and off, like hills, like when they come in the intersection, you know, they'll cut a line in the blacktop, you know, they make a little groove, so when your tires hit it, kind of vibrates a little bit. You know, at least, you know, something like that isn't sticking up where you're gonna tear the suspension out from under some people's car, or, you know, they have to go on, I mean, I think that we could probably end up a lot of trouble by putting that stuff out there. I don't know if we could or not, but it seems to me like you would, because I know if you put something out there as a private person along the road and they hit it, they can come back and sue you.
I could interject and just say that these are questions that we can look into over the next 2 weeks and try to get answers on. But since so many other towns have done this, I would assume that the whole liability issue has been addressed and we can find out more specifically.
Great. Lynn, I'm gonna go to Lynn now, Mike.
So my question about the noise that you experienced watching the people going over the bumps and the humps, were they going the required speed, or were they going faster than the speed? Because I think that would mean, you know, the idea is to slow them down. And if we're saying, oh, can't do it because it annoys people, and the problem is the people going over are still going too fast, well, I'm partly saying that it's not solving the problem. And secondly, if they're continuing there and people bottom out because they're going too fast, I'm sorry, the person who's going 70 miles an hour in front of my house, I'm not sorry for. And if they bottom out because they do that and they're going 65 or 70 miles down Dover Road, then maybe they'll learn a lesson and not go so fast. And that's the purpose of these things, is to encourage people not to go so fast.
Thank you, Lynn. Steve and then Katie. 1 second, Steve.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
All right. My comment was the same as Lynn's. If this is what happens, if these people who are making the noise and bottoming out, are they going too fast? Well, too bad. I agree with Lynn. That's the purpose of these things. Slow down. If there's proper warning, what more can you ask? That's the idea, you know? So I'm fine with that. As long as there's no liability to the town or the landowners.
Right.
That's my comment.
Thank you so much.
Yep.
Katie.
Hi, I was wondering, Jay, if you have any ideas of where you would consider placing these? Is it my understanding that a sound study has to be done? Do you have any of those answers?
No, we haven't really given any thought of where you could put them. I don't think, and as far as Steve and Lynn, any of the like lawn mowing trailers, UPS, any of those vehicles, regardless of the speed, are going to make a lot of noise. Just the little washboards near my house, the noise is crazy when they go across it, even if they're going slow. So you're still going to get a lot of noise, even if they are going just the speed limit. And as far as where to put them, I think that could be part of the people actually design them that build these. So I think they would probably have they come out and look to see where they should go and design them accordingly. So I think they would be involved in it.
Anyone else have a question? Oh, Katie again, and then Patty.
I just wanted to ask, in your mind, Jay, would you put them in all 3 villages in the 25-mile-per-hour areas? Or would they be spread out further?
I don't know. I think you'd want to definitely only try them in one place for a season, just to see how the response is to them.
Okay.
Hi, Patty. Good to have you. 1 second. I'm reading you. Go ahead.
So as Route 30 is a state highway, do the bumps and humps relate to that or only for the town roads?
Only for the town roads.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
Dale Stevens, good evening. Glad to have you.
Well, good evening. I do have a question about the speed humps or the bumps or the speed table. My question is the distance between the approach and the departure on the hump and the altitude or the height of this hump. Will a very low to the ground car be able to clear this thing? Because speed humps, if they're above like 6 inches, they're going to get hung up on the hump. If it's a table where you have enough distance between the 2 axles, they should be able to approach it, go up on the table, and then come back down off the table without any issues. Is that clear on my question? I'm just trying to find out if my car would actually make it over these things.
I don't know if you can see that.
I do see that.
So that's the basic design of them.
Yep.
And there's a series of them.
Okay.
Depending on the speed and so forth. But that's the basic design that they use.
Okay. Okay. So do we know how high they are above the road surface itself?
It looks like 3 inches.
Oh, okay. That's perfect. Okay.
There's a tremendous amount of specifications here, so
that's
what it appears like is 3 inches.
Okay, that was my question because that's really close for me, but that's fine. That'll work.
Hey. Yes, hi, Nancy.
Hi. Do we have any kind of consensus as to where the worst speeding problems are?
I'll just say I've noticed them everywhere in my bouts of driving all through the town of Newfane. And I've been passed in front of my house right in the village of Newfane. I've been passed in front of Lynn Forrest's home. I've been passed right in South Newfane, right in Williamsville. It's everywhere.
I got past
It
on
amazes
Gibson Hill.
me how, like in Williamsville, just from the little covered bridge, you know, coming towards the village, how people could get up that much speed. You're waiting at the post office and they come flying out of that gully and you can't see. One thing I have to say, I think that some of the brush and that tree that's on the very corner should be cut back. It's like a life-threatening situation trying to get out of the post office. They come flying out of, that's a short distance. How can they get going that fast? I don't know.
Right, and that's something that's really important to know from everyone. Like Ann was saying, that the town of Brattleboro has a form that you can fill out and let us know so that we can relay it to our sheriffs as to where they should be patrolling, which I've noticed them out a lot more lately, which has been good. So that will be something to look into and to design so that we can be more aware of everyone's feelings and where things are happening.
Yeah.
Ann.
I know we want to close up this segment of the meeting. We will discuss this again at our next meeting and at the subsequent meetings. I think there are some very specific questions that came up today that Jay and I can work on trying to get the information on. If there are other questions specific to speed bumps that people have, or if people have observed speed bumps in other places and have opinions on them, if you want to send it to our administrative assistant, send her an email or call her, and we will start pulling that information together. And so at the next meeting, we'll try to report back what we have been able to learn. And then we'll also hopefully have the sheriff with us so we can focus on the issue of enforcement.
I have confirmed that the sheriff will be here at the September 19th meeting to have questions and answers. So that will be our next segment with an update on the research from tonight. Carol, did you have something else you'd like to say?
I was just wondering, the electronic signs that tell you what your speed is, how, is there any data to compare the effectiveness of that compared to the speed bumps?
That's a good one, Carol. I was wondering about that too.
Yes, I believe Jay has the ability to pull the data off of those signs.
We can get in all the data off the signs, but we don't have a comparison between doing the two of them. And I don't remember, did Brattleboro mention any changes? I don't believe they did.
A lot of people I know in Manchester, they said they didn't feel like it made much of a difference in terms of managing the speeds. But I think there are some more detailed conversations that we could have. One thing I'll just mention quickly is that Jay has said that the data that he can get off of the speed signs is voluminous. And I don't think tonight, but at some point we really could have a look at what is available from those signs, the data available from those speed signs, and see what would be the most valuable data for us to be monitoring on an ongoing basis.
Right. And is there a way with those signs to know if people actually do slow down when they start approaching that sign, realizing they're going a little too fast?
I believe, Jay, you can tell what the speed is when they first are picked up, and then again when they actually get at the speed sign. Is that correct?
Yes. Yep.
What you don't know is what they do afterwards.
Real quick, Patty.
So I just wanted to say the last time the speed signs were up with the sheriff, I mean, there were cars that were tracked at 80 to 90 to 100 miles an hour. They took the ones going 100 off because they thought that was an anomaly. I said it wasn't an anomaly. So there's a lot of information. It would be fascinating to go through that. And thanks, Jay, for doing that.
Okay, so with that, we're going to close up this particular part of the meeting and go to our regular scheduled business. And I hope to see everybody here on the 19th with more questions and answers so that we can address this very seriously and get something taken care of.
Thank you guys for.
Thank you so much for being here.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes, thank you so much, Jay, for getting all that research, and Ann, you as well. It's wonderful. And with that, we will go to the approval of the August 15th regular meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I would like to make some corrections to the minutes.
Okay. Can we have a motion to, and then discuss and make
Sure.
corrections?
I make a motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, let's discuss.
Okay, so there were three things I wanted to bring up. On page 4, under the discussion that Karen Astley presented, I thought that I didn't think it was clear the way it was listed in the minutes, and that it could be clarified by, instead of just listing all of the different funds, the 4 figures that she got from the treasurer, the ARPA, capital, FEMA, and July storm. I thought it might be clearer if we reworded it to say Astley reviewed funds that are owed to the town by FEMA from the July 2021 storm that has not yet been received, as well as other funds the town has from ARPA and our capital funds. Then at the bottom of page 4, there's a quote from Dennis Wiswald and there's a double negative. I believe what he was trying to say was this money should not be considered a surplus. Instead, it says this money should not be considered not surplus. So that should be corrected. And then on page 5, I believe it was a quote from me where I was talking about that we were talking about ARPA and the business grants. And we were saying that we were waiting to find out if a federal fund was going to be available to hire staff. It says that we are waiting for WRC, but it's not WRC, it's BDCC,
Right.
the Brattleboro Development Credit Corporation. Those are my 3 corrections.
Anyone else? So I believe at this point do you want to amend the motion, correct? I think so.
Well, I would recommend that the minutes be approved with the 3 amendments just discussed.
Yes. Is that so we're making a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Correct.
Okay, is there a second?
A second.
Thank you. Any further conversation about the August 15th meeting minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Great. Now we will move on to the August 23rd informational meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
A motion.
I'll second it.
Discussion?
I think there was more discussion at that meeting that should be reflected in the minutes. I did not have time to go through it and add more of the discussion items, but I do think that there's more detail that would be helpful to town members, especially, I know we still have to discuss what we're doing about those items. We didn't come to a resolution yet, but I think that there should be more detail in those minutes. I think they should be revised.
Is there a volunteer to help revise if everyone agrees?
I'm sorry, I'm out of town. Otherwise, I would offer to help. I cannot do it.
Anyone else? I do not.
I'm sorry, also out of town.
Okay, well, there's a motion from Mike to accept, Katie to second as is. Shall we vote on that?
Before we vote, could I just say, I think Winetta could go over there was a recording from that meeting, correct?
Yes, there's a recording for all the meetings.
Yeah, I think we could just go over, Winetta could go over that meeting minutes, recording, and just flesh out the details more.
Great. So then we can address those at our next meeting as well.
I would say yes.
Okay, so shall we vote on the motion? All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Oh. Aye. Opposed? Abstained. So we'll accept them as is and look for revised minutes for the next meeting. Now we have the August 29th, 2022 special meeting. And thank you so much, Carol, for helping us with that. We really appreciate it. Is there a motion to accept those minutes?
I make a motion.
Is there a second? Thank you, Mike. Any discussion on these minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Great. Okay, now we will move on to our road foreman and road commissioners report. Good evening again, Jay.
He muted himself in accident.
Uh-oh, you're muted.
There we go.
Yes, good.
So they have not said anything in the last 10 days. I don't know if that's good or bad. I'm hoping they're not just on vacation, but somebody's actually looking at it. So hopefully we'll see something soon. That's just been a long process. The arch bridge had the cement poured at both ends, and once it's cured, it'll be backfilled further. The sand salt shed is waiting Bell Engineering to update the bid documents so it can go out to bid this fall. Hartgen has finished the archaeological study for the gravel pit that I think you guys all got today. They didn't find anything terrible. There's 3 spots of interest that are all basically kind of where we would leave a berm anyways. So Bill Jewell is researching a little further to see if we should have it go one step further to make them eliminate those or leave them as is. So we're still kind of up in the air on that one right at the moment. Everett Hammond, the engineer, has looked at the seasonal stream bed and is going to make a recommendation for stabilizing the stream bed so we can move on from that. He had a more simple idea than Bill Jewell did. So they're talking back and forth right at the moment to see how it's going to pan out to be the most effective for the town. Bill's idea is that we make it as steep a slope as possible so that we don't have to lose any space in the pit. And I think Everett feels that he can take a little more space and have it cost the town quite a lot less to put it in. So hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have a recommendation from those two. Vermont Protective Coating has one section ready for paint and grease and are cleaning the next 2 sections on Monroe Bridge. I guess that's going well. The grease factory where they've always gotten their grease has had a fire and so he was working on a new source of the bridge grease. So hopefully he'll have that soon. I'm still waiting for Ben Green, the state dam inspector, to comment on the plan we have for Kenny Pond. I reached out to him again this morning and still didn't get an answer by tonight. So I have an engineering proposal for the Loop Road box culvert. We need to get the design done so we can get an estimate and then start looking for money. That would be ideal if we could replace that next summer. We've repaired the storm damage underneath the pavement, but not ideal. It could happen again should we get another high water. So, and you have the copy of the proposal on that one also. It was from Everett Hammond, and to do everything with the permits and everything, he came up with 23,000. So I don't know what you folks want to do on that one. The biggest thing would be is whoever we get, we need them to get it done this fall so that we can have a plan to work with over the winter. So.
Any chance we could just check with Ron? Well,
I can, as long as he can, stick with it.
yeah. He's always done a pretty good job with the town, keeping the prices down somewhat. But, I mean, I wouldn't prepare to check with it,
Right. My only concern is if it's going to take him off the sand salt shed, that he's already cost us quite a lot of money by not having stuff ready for us on that. So I just would worry that we're going to shoot ourselves in the foot if we give him more work.
Shouldn't we be doing the purchasing policy that we have and putting it out to bid? That would probably be the best course of action.
Engineering was exempt from that supposedly,
Okay.
but it's up to you guys. If you want to do that, it's worth a shot. I mean, it'll take a while, but just, I'd like to find somebody that will move forward and get it done in a fairly short amount of time. So we try to figure out money for it. That could be an interesting, if that culvert has a problem, that could be a problem with the town office parking lot and WW trucks coming in that way and so forth.
It's exempt? Yeah, it is. Okay, so engineering is exempt on it as confirmed.
Can I just ask Jay, is there money in the budget currently that would cover this?
Well, it's a structure, so I think it could come from the bridge we have.
Line, and there's enough money currently in there for us to use for this?
Yes.
Given the nightmare that if this were to flood again, the problems that it would cause, and we have someone who is available to do this work, I would recommend moving forward with it and using the monies that we have from the bridge portion of the budget, if that is acceptable.
With the estimate given by Everett Hammond, or going with Ron Bell?
I would say the current estimate that we have, given how tight it is to try to find people to do the work. I think if we've got Everett Hammond and people know his work and think that it is high quality, I think there's a lot to be said for going with it.
Is there a second to Ann's motion?
I'd second.
Thank you, Jay. Jay, is that what you would recommend?
I think so. We have the Eddie Roads culvert that we could keep Ron, hopefully, because he had looked at that originally after the storm. And maybe we could try to utilize Ron to do that one for us.
Okay.
So.
Any further discussion on the motion on the table? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Great. So will you be in touch with him and let him know?
I will.
Excellent.
And then the last thing is we've been, for the last, maybe a year, we've been discussing how to, we have a lot more traffic on a lot of our roads when we're working. And with the current excavator with the wheels on it, we have to go to a driveway to get off the road for people to get by us. So they're spending a lot of the time moving rather than being able to keep working. So I had talked to Caterpillar. We have a 10-year lease on the current one. And they are willing to take that one back, rewrite and exchange it for a slightly smaller tracked excavator, a new one. And rewrite the lease for 7 years, which is what's left on the current one. And keep the payment come out to just about exactly the same as what we have now for us.
I think that's a remarkable deal.
And that would work better on all the roadways for you guys?
Yeah, that's what the plan is. And Dover's been gracious enough to tell us we could use their trailer to move it. So we don't have to get a trailer right away, so.
Oh, that's great.
That's good.
I make a motion, we do that.
I second it.
Well, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? Great.
Katie trying to say something or trying to?
Yeah, Katie, you have something to say?
Your head.
Sorry, I can't say I put myself on mute because it's raining here and it's really loud.
I can't hear any rain there.
It is, I promise.
It's not hurting us though.
Nope.
Great.
And then the only other thing that's not road related is we have the automatic defibrillators ordered for the town building, the buildings around town.
Yes.
And in talking with the village, well, Diana was, I guess it was at one of the last sidewalk meetings I talked to her. She suggested using Union Hall. The More Free Library is the place for it instead of the Union Hall, since there's a very limited use in the hall. She thinks the library would be a lot more useful because there's so many more people coming and going. And I didn't know if the board had any objection to having it in the library instead of at the hall.
Is there a motion to have the defibrillator moved to the library instead of Union Hall?
Make a motion.
Sounds good to me.
Second, I'll give you the second, Mike, how's that?
All right.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Great. Is there a motion to accept the road foreman and commissioners report?
I make such a
I'll
motion.
make a motion.
Would you like to second, Katie?
Sure.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained? Great. Thank you so much, Jay, and for your crew and all their hard work. We really
Thank you.
appreciate it. Okay. Now we will go to the administrative assistance report. Good evening, Juanetta.
Good evening. The town of Newfane is updating its local hazard mitigation plan. As part of the process, the committee working on the plan has a short survey available for all residents. You can stop in at the town office or go to the town website. The survey will be open until Friday, September 9th. On Wednesday, September 14th, there will be a 2-hour training for regulating cannabis, what municipal officials need to know. And then on Thursday, the 22nd, there's a municipal budgeting and capital planning. If you would like to attend either of the trainings, you can let me know after the meeting. Would you like to start, would the select board like to start planning on Monday, October 24th for the budget? We have Columbus Day in between our 2 Monday meetings.
I personally will be out of town on October 24th. It would be hard for me to participate. I personally would ask if we could start the week of October 31st.
Shall we have our select board meeting on the night of Halloween for those who have children that like to go out, or can we?
We could do Tuesday.
We could do the November 1st. do anything.
I make a motion, we do it on November 1st.
Thank you, Mike. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. So
Aye.
first budget meeting will be November 1st. Thank you.
And then the town office has not had a cleaning service since the middle of March. What would the select board like to suggest? The previous efforts and information was integrity cleaning from Wardsboro is no longer has time available. On August 12th, Green Mountain Cleaning was willing to do the cleaning at $50 per hour, but there is no window washing. Masteller Cleaning will not give us a rate until maternity leave is over for the employee in the area.
Was there a minimum hourly time on the Green Mountain cleaning? Or was it just if they came in for an hour?
We expect it to be 2.5 to 3 hours, twice a month. That's what Sierra was getting, but she was only getting $29 an hour.
Can't we go with someone for cleaning and figure out the window washing at a later time, since we don't seem to be able to get both services at this time?
Is there a motion that we go with Green Mountain Cleaning? For what, 2 hours a month?
2 hours twice a month.
2 hours twice a month.
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Are we going to give them a probationary period like we did for the Masteller employment?
I would,
90 days?
Yes.
sure.
And then we will revisit and see what's going on and how the town office employees are liking the service. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Great. Let's see. All right, all those in favor of accepting the administrative assistance report, say aye. Oh, wait, sorry.
Aye.
Is there a motion to accept her report?
Make a
I
motion.
make a motion.
Would you second?
You got it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Yes. Hi, Chris.
You're only giving people 3 days to answer this survey. That seems like an awful short amount of time and unreasonable.
It is an awful short amount of time. The information came out. Do you recall when the first thing came out? Juanetta? The first email from Margot?
I was on vacation, I believe Carol.
Yeah, I
Helped
think it
revise.
came like the 24th of Thursday? Is whatever the first, one of the first days Juanetta was out, it came out, and I looked at the survey and it was extremely confusing, and it was circular, it kept sending you back and forth between two numbers and not, and then, so then I emailed her and said, you gotta make some changes, and then she tried to change the numbers, and then the numbers on the questions were all screwed up.
Okay.
Now the survey has no numbers, and it's shorter, but it took us a while to get to that point.
Well, why can't you just make it longer?
You'd have to ask them.
Can you reach out to Margot tomorrow and ask her if we can have the survey extended for at least another week? Please. That would be fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up, Chris. I appreciate that.
Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay. Okay, any further discussion on the administrative assistance report? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Katie was an aye, she raised her hand and nodded. All right.
Thank you.
Welcome. Committee report. We have Jane Douglas here. Are you going to do a planning commission update for your
Well, for the planning commission, we wanted to know how the select board had decided on the FEMA requested changes for floodplains and river corridors. Whether you wanted the planning commission to go ahead with that work. I wasn't sure if that was the same as the flood hazard bylaw update under the old business.
I think that is the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
We could discuss it now, though, right?
Sure.
Sure.
Go ahead, Ann.
I would be very much in favor of pursuing this. I think that, from the experiences that our town has had with flooding, it is a particular danger for us, and that being able to take proactive steps to further protect ourselves and to think about what kinds of mitigation we can put in place now that would protect ourselves in the future. I think it's the right discussions to be having. Going forward with the discussions there's a process in order to actually amend the town bylaws regarding this. So it's not like by voting today, we're making the decision to make the change to the bylaws, but we're simply making the decision that we want to keep moving forward with the process. And I'm strongly in favor of that.
Would you like to make a motion?
I make a motion that the select board vote in favor of moving forward with those discussions.
There's
that
second.
process.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 The planning commission will start working.
Wonderful, thank you. And you'll probably be in touch with Alyssa?
Yeah.
Great. Anything further from our committee?
It's my committee one. I had a question as well, about the ARPA funding, whether for DB fiber, we need to put in an application for some money for covering the connection costs for people in town who do not have any broadband connection and can't afford the connection costs. Several other towns have already approved money for their residents, and I haven't heard anything about the application process yet.
No, we haven't gotten there yet. We're still working on it. Several other things have come up that have taken.
Can I, Clara, ask a question?
Yes.
I think one of the things that we really need to know as well is what sum of money are you requesting? If I remember correctly, I think was, correct me if I'm wrong, my memory was that it was something in the range of $5,000, but I don't think you had a final number.
I think around 5,000 would be the maximum.
Could I make this suggestion, even though we don't completely have a process set up yet, that you go ahead and write up a proposal and clarify how much you are requesting?
Okay.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right, I'll get that.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Anne. Okay, can we move on, or do you have anything else?
Oh, that's it.
Great, thank you so much. And we'd like to have our scheduled member of the public, Town Clerk Carol Hesselbach.
Yeah, hi. So I came to talk to you about the Department of Liquor Control and the changes they are making to your job as the Board of Liquor Control and approving liquor license applications. In the past, everything has been on paper. They have now moved to a strictly electronic process. They won't be mailing me the applications for renewals to send out to people, and nobody will be bringing us paper. The applicants will go online, either apply for a new license or a renewal, upload whatever documents they need to upload to the state. Then they get an email and say, okay, you uploaded this, it's gone to the town. Town won't look at it till they get your check. So then the people will bring us a check. There will no longer be a document from the Department of Liquor Control for you guys to sign. So, and they said they don't care what we do. You can have your meeting and have it reflected in the minutes that you've approved the liquor license, is for whoever, and then I can go online and click the box, and then the system will tell the person, oh, the town approved your thing, now go online and pay your state fee electronically. They're not gonna take checks from them anymore. And then when it's approved, they'll send an email to everybody saying, oh, look, it's online, you've got your license. So there's a couple ways we could go. For the renewals, I don't see why I should have to print out their whole application for you. I would think I could just give you a list, and then if you were having a problem with someone who has a license and you wanted to see their whole application, we could do that. But I should think you should be able to just approve it based on the fact that you know that it's being submitted to the state, and if the state needs something more from them, they'll ask. I would think, on the other hand, if we were to get a new one from some new person who wants a liquor license, you probably want to see their whole application. That's what I would recommend. Renewals just give you a list. New applications give you everything. They're going to try and begin staggering things. Right now, all liquor licenses in the whole state have to be renewed and become effective May 1st. Even if they've applied in December, they have to renew it for May 1st.
Okay.
They're going to start, as I said, letting them apply whenever and process it, and then whenever the effective first date is, then they renew on that date. The ones we have will probably stay May 1st until we get some new people applying. They thought they could start shuffling those around, but their programmers told them they couldn't figure that out.
So you will no longer need a signature from us?
I will no longer need a signature from us.
Just a motion to approve, and one edit can get that to you the next day.
Right, and then I just have to go in and check something and say that the town Board of Liquor Control approved it. The other thing you should know that they found is they decided to check laws before they started this to make sure they were following the laws. And for 20 some odd years, they have not been following the law in terms of licenses to sell tobacco products. They have been going straight to the state without the town seeing them and approving them. That's against the law. So from now on, people who want to sell tobacco products will have to send their application to the town first, and then if we approve it, then the state will look at it. Unfortunately, the law does not allow us to get any fees for that, so it's one of those freebies, but at least you'll know what's going on, because they'll be sending them to us.
Great. Katie?
Is there any helpfulness with us having something similar to what the state has, that we just use that format and have a quick thing that you have on file here in the office? That would be helpful.
If you guys wanted to do that, if you wanted me to create a form and send it to you and say, we got a renewal application for these guys, do you want to approve it, and then all of you sign it, that's fine, we could do that or not. You'll have liquor license, the Board of Liquor Control minutes, which should reflect that. But, it's up to you guys. You can think about it. They're not going to be any coming through for a while, I don't think.
Well, I don't think we can do it that way. I think when we do have it, we have to have a properly warned liquor control meeting.
Yeah, you gotta have the meeting.
Yes.
And you're gonna get a list or the thing from me. And if you want a form handed to you saying, so you can sign it if you approve it, we can do that, or we can just go based on the minutes. And it's something you guys can think about and
let you know.
Let me know, or we can discuss it.
You have another question, Katie?
Oh, no, I just haven't taken my hand down.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Mike.
I just wonder, like, this whole new electronic thing that the state wants to do, at least, when we see the liquor licenses come across, a lot of that stuff is last minute. Like some of these guys that are catering and they need a license to cater the thing for like a party or weddings or whatever they do. And then That's like, a lot of things, a lot of these bars and stuff, we got the things at the last minute and stuff, like, how big a time period would the state need to do it? Because, when I've noticed things from the state, when you do something electronic or send it to them in the mail, it goes back and forth quite a few times before they finally get it. I mean, these guys, do they gotta get it in a month early? Or is it something they can put in that week and have their license that week, I mean, like they come to us, we're every 2 weeks. I'm just wondering what's gonna happen. Don't we have to, like when we have the Heritage Fest, don't they have people there that sell like bottles of wine and stuff like that we have to grant them licenses for and stuff like that?
I didn't quite understand.
Whether we have to approve if people are selling at Heritage Festival.
Yes,
Yes.
and there was one came through in paper last week, and I sent an email to the state, said, what do you want me to do? They said, send it back to him, there's lots of time, and we'll send him an email saying, you messed up. So I sent them back the check. And the check for the state was in there and the application. So I sent it back with a cover letter saying, the state said, send this back to you, you should be doing this online.
Right. So this will just be a process that we will learn, and we will come up with it now that we know about it.
Okay.
Yes. Anything further on Carol's update on the Board of Liquor Control?
Does anyone else feel any particular way about liking the properness of signing your name on something that you've agreed to?
I personally don't feel that strongly about it because if you think about our select board meetings, we make decisions all the time and we let it just be reflected in the minutes. I personally, unless I'm missing something, I don't see it as being very different in terms of the Board of Liquor Control issues.
Right. That's true.
I would agree.
And it's something, after we see how it actually works, if you want to change how you want to handle it, we can do that too. We're not, as long as they said, do whatever you want, we can do whatever you guys want.
Okay.
All right.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you and all that you do for our town and for us. Okay, now we have unscheduled members of the public, and we'd like to welcome Nancy Reese. Good evening. Hi. We're here to discuss the work on your property. Is Jay Wilson still with us?
No.
I think we should get him back on if we can. While we're waiting for him, I had seen some letters that you had going to the state and some coming back. Can you give us a brief update of what's going on or not going on?
Yeah, well, all of this time, I kind of, I guess there was like maybe too much communication and miscommunication and no understanding of where my process needed to start. And I guess what Travis Thompson from the NRCS needs is a letter from you confirming that you agreed to be my sponsor. So we should have maybe done that back in April had we known that that's what we needed to do, but they never made that. I always thought that the process needed to start with them. And they're saying, no, they need to receive like a letter from you confirming that you agreed to be my sponsor. Mm-hmm. And then they can move on from there, schedule a site visit and draw a plan and then move on from there. So there's just been too much communication and no understanding, I guess. But, so I was hoping that you would indeed send them a letter so that the process can get started. Well, moving forward.
Yeah, I have Jay Wilson back, but he is on phone. Do you have any understanding, Jay, of where we stand with this, the Nancy Reese property?
I haven't seen any more stuff come out in the last 6-8 weeks, I don't think.
Okay.
Could I ask, what did Jay see 6 to 8 weeks ago?
I think the last thing was from one of the state people. There was nothing. I honestly don't remember. Juanetta, do you remember the contents of that one?
I'm trying to find the date of Travis's letter.
Forwarded you the information that we had sent to, that Nancy had requested I send to Travis Thompson back on July 13th.
And what was the basis of that information?
His response was, "Thank you for reaching out regarding the issue. Our team is waiting for final approval of our investigation into the matter. I hope to have something within the next few weeks. In the meantime, please let me know if you have questions."
And have we received anything on the investigation?
I have not received their,
So that was like the.
our analysis, their
Analysis.
their river analysis. That's one of the things that they had mentioned.
Thank you for coming, Jane.
Nancy, did you receive the river analysis?
Yes. Yeah, the big thick report.
Right, am I?
That 116 pages that I printed for you.
But I mean, that, they moved on from there and said, they had agreed to do a certain, section of the river where the blocks had fallen in right in front of my basement entrance. And so, like I said, they moved past that, report thing and analysis. And so then the last letter we received then was from Bob Thompson, and that was August 10th. And he said, as soon as he hears from you guys, like, confirming that you're gonna, sponsor me, that then they will make arrangements for a site visit and to drop a plan, and then we'll move on from there.
I know we had discussed it and wanted to kind of get us the minutes from October 21st of last year.
No, there's, like I say, Travis's letter, I just have a copy of the kind of a draft type of thing like that, they want you to fill out right, saying that you did agree to sponsor my project. Because we've gotten a letter from Travis Thompson and from Travis Thompson and Bob Thompson within the last, month and a half. Bob's was August 10th, and Travis's was sooner than that. I don't know why I don't have it.
Right, so at this meeting, during the administrative assistance report, it says on Friday, I'm assuming that's you, Juanetta, received an email from Bob Thompson, State Conservation Engineer, and he has requested the necessary funds from the USDA-NRCS Natural Resource Conservation Service in Washington, D.C. to pay for the work at 65 Baker Brook Road. He's asking if the town of Newfane will act as a sponsor of this project. Newfane would be responsible for receiving the funds, soliciting bids, and hiring the contractor and any O&M for the project's design, life estimate 20 years. Shelley Huber made a motion that the town of Newfane will act as a sponsor for this project. Ann Gold seconded. Discussion, Gloria Cristelli asked if this agreement was asking for a percentage payment from the landowner regarding repairs. Ann Gold indicated that the information provided to the town was that NRCS was covering the entire cost of the 100% repairs, and the motion passed 4-0. I would have to go back and listen to the minutes, because that does not seem clear to me exactly what all was said, and then go further with that.
Juanetta said that she had given you the most recent emails from Travis and from Bob Thompson.
Yes, but I'm wondering why we hadn't signed a letter at that time, if that's what we were doing.
Yeah, I said, like, in retrospect, when, I think it was like in April or whatever, when I came to me, and you guys agreed to sponsor me, we should have simply sent them a letter then saying that you indeed agreed to sponsor me, and then they would have moved on from there, made a plan for a site visit, you know, and to come up with a plan for how to repair. You know,
Just to clarify, you're talking about April of 2021, not 2022, correct?
I don't know, I think it was of 2022.
I thought it was the year before.
Yeah, it was this year. You know, when you guys originally agreed that you would sponsor me.
Well, the sponsor agreed, it was September 20th, 2021, that this is part of the minutes. And I haven't seen a copy of the analysis that was
Maybe I'm
done.
wrong, but I could swear that it was, you know, that it was this year when I came to a meeting and you guys had agreed that you would indeed sponsor me. You know, and then I've been back and forth with many people at NRCS and what, you know, back and forth, and like they say, thinking that then they needed to do something.
Right.
And then finally, this new person, Travis Thompson, who just came into because there was an interim person, Obadiah Rabacor or something like that. But, you know, and so he said that he needs to get that letter from you saying that you were sponsoring. And then they'll do what they have to do, and then they'll get back to you, and it's kind of like a intertwined back and forth thing. But so nothing can happen until you send them a letter and say that you did agree to sponsor them. So that's what they need to hear from you.
Do we have the letter now, or do we have to make up the letter, is what you're saying?
We do not have a letter. I asked our administrative assistant, she said she did not find one in the file.
Okay, so now what we're being asked is to be the sponsor to handle the bidding and the money part of it until the contract is wrote and all that stuff, and we make sure they get paid, and then do we get paid back? We get paid back after that point, right? Is that how that works?
Wait for the funding, I believe.
Wait for the, Juanetta says to wait for the funding. What it says is Newfane would be responsible for receiving the funds, soliciting bids, and hiring the contractor and any O&M for the project's design. That is what was discussed September 21st of 2021.
Well, there's been a lot of other discussions since then.
Yeah, I saw a email that you had Juanetta sent up to the state.
Yeah, I thought she had said that she gave you, you know, the last two emails, one from Travis Thompson and one from Bob Thompson, and my last two emails.
Well, could I recommend that we get a hold of that Thompson, have her get a hold of him? See what the letter is, and what we gotta do to do it. For one thing, if they plan on doing any of the work, we put it out, it's supposed to be out there first, but the 15th of October.
I know.
So, you know, just.
Yeah, that's why I was saying it. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, and because I mean, all we're gonna be is like the sponsors, or we're not gonna be held liable for this, right?
No.
Like that.
You'd be responsible for operations and maintenance.
Can I give you that?
Go ahead, Ann.
There are two things I just wanted to bring up. From the letter that Nancy showed me of the sample letter that we were requested to sign, it's my understanding that we would be responsible for 25% of the cost. Is that correct, that that's what that letter says?
And then I think I just gave her the Bob Thompson letter, which is the one I wanted to give you, but you were going away.
Right.
And you got the Travis Thompson letter that I can't find, and I don't know if Juanetta can't find it. I don't know why I don't have a copy. I could swear that I did.
Well, could I make a suggestion or recommendation?
Yes.
This feels very confused. And the state does not make this easy. There are so many different moving parts with this. Could I hate to say this, but could I suggest or request that Jay take a look at who needs what and when and what we need to sign? I think Jay would have such a better understanding than all the rest of us about who needs to, what the process is going to be, what could be done, what might be considered as a possible remediation, etc. I just think
Oh, okay.
that would be my recommendation.
It got kind of,
Jay, do you have anything to respond?
I'm sorry, Jay.
No, I can take a look, Director.
Okay, could you do that and shoot us an email with what you find?
Okay.
And then we can go forward with that, because it would be better to
And I
get all
believe
of
that,
the questions and answers out there so we can make a better decision.
and then perhaps, Jay, if you could just sit with Nancy for a bit and look at all the files of documentation that she has. I don't know if Juanetta has all of it, but Nancy has reams and reams of paper that maybe you could just quickly look through. A lot of it is detail upon detail, but I think you would be able to see what the big picture is and then be able to figure out how in heck we should be going forward. I'm sorry this is so complicated.
Yeah, I don't think I've got all the stuff that's gone back and forth, so I'll
Right.
have to get what the town has also, but yeah, sure.
Thank you, Jay.
Yes, thank you so much. And I know you're heading into another meeting, so we'll let you go.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Sorry, he was heading into another meeting.
yeah, but at this, well, there's like no time to waste here because of the,
Right.
the river situation. But like I said, it's just been so confusing and so upsetting.
Oh.
Nancy, I understand all of that. I think we just really need to get our ducks in a row here so that we understand the process. And I think Jay is the best one on behalf of the town to help
Yeah.
us sort that out.
Yeah, so I should make an appointment to get together with him.
I'm sure he'll reach out to you or you could
Yes.
reach out to him.
And I would like to have copies. Does Juanetta have copies of all of these?
I do, I'm done.
Great. I think that's a good idea, and I think once Jay sits down with you, it gets us the information, and I'm sure he'll be right on top of that,
Okay.
we can make a better informed decision.
Because-
I too would like to go through and rewatch and listen to this meeting,
Because that's old.
I know.
There's been much.
but I would like to hear more about this discussion and of what the vote actually reflects.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
'cause it does seem like
There's something missing in
it was
there.
already voted to sponsor this project.
So I'd like to
Yeah.
read that and see, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it
do
was.
that, and then we'll be in
But
touch.
who knew, in all the conversation back and forth with them, it was obvious, but yet
You need to have
but they said, you should have sent us a letter.
Right.
But they never made it that clear before. And I always thought it was them that had to start the process. that they're
I
saying.
remember in the discussion that they were waiting before they proceeded, that they needed to get the funds approved from Washington. Back when we had this meeting in September.
Yeah.
Some of the follow-up emails discussed them not having that approved finance.
Yeah.
And they were still waiting in the process, and then they contacted the Glickmans about the survey analysis. But I didn't go through that 116-page document that I printed out for you a few weeks ago. I told you I didn't have time to even,
they sent us the hydraulic analysis. That's the second hydraulic analysis they've done in 3 years. Nothing came of the first one. They said, well, that didn't tell us anything, we couldn't use it, and then they did this other one. But what does that mean what does that mean to a general layman to read a hydraulic analysis?
Right.
But in that, they agree, like I said, they're agreeing to do this portion in front of my basement door.
Okay.
Where the water comes in.
Yeah.
Well, we will get all of this going and then be back in touch with you immediately about it.
Okay. Yeah, it is, it's, and with me not using a computer or even having a cell phone, it makes it so much more difficult, but like I say, the back and forth and not understanding, not getting to, why couldn't they just simply have said that like a year ago? When you said that you would sponsor me, that they needed that officially in writing.
Right, so with Jay getting in touch with you, I will look at this, and then if Juanetta could send us out all the information she has, we can make a better informed decision. That's the survey, I think we have.
You can take that survey too.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then we'll have, we'll get back in touch with you so we can get this going again.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Nancy. Moving on to old business, there's one thing that did not make our agenda that has to be discussed tonight, and I'm sorry I'm jumping ahead of ARPA cannabis. Oh, it is the cannabis. But we already discussed the ARPA update, correct? With DV Fiber asking, and then we suggested that making.
I have no other updates at this time.
I don't either, and we'll just wait and see what Jane sends us and go from there. Cannabis updates, we had our special meeting and we had a tie vote, so we need to discuss this. There are three options. And what has happened, we were going to have a special town meeting on September 20th, 2022. It has not been canceled yet since we have several things on that to be voted on. However, the cannabis issue has been realized that we need to do by Australian ballot. So we are now in a different situation. So our options are A, keep the September 20th, 2022 special town meeting to deal with the surplus issue and the wind dart issue. Continue the cannabis to be held at another date by Australian ballot. Option B is to cancel the 20th special town meeting and have a new meeting on October, we need to set a date if that's the case, and do everything all at once. And the third option is to put it on as an article for town meeting in March. Discussion.
I would not think pushing it to March is a good idea. There are a lot of people who want this cannabis issue resolved. I think it needs to happen as soon as possible. I would propose, which one was canceling the meeting? Is that B?
Yes, B is canceling the meeting.
That would be my suggestion. Cancel the meeting, hold the entire thing on the same day in October.
However,
it's just me.
Oh, sorry, Chris?
Wasn't there some discussion at the special meeting about the problems that would cause Carol? And isn't that why there was not able to come to an agreement? Because you can't have people in a voice meeting and people trying to count ballots all at the same time. Now, I personally think that is also the better choice. I think it makes more sense to accommodate the public, but there would have to be some special considerations for how Carol has to handle things, and I would think we would have to help her out with that.
Agreed.
I just wanted to remind you about that.
Can I make?
1 second. And then Katie.
I just, at that meeting also, Carol said that when we do the school budget vote, we have an informational meeting the night before. We could do whatever voice votes we need at that meeting, and then the Australian ballot could be completed the next day. So people could be doing early voting prior to that, and then we could do the actual Australian ballot the following day.
On an October day to be determined.
Yes.
Katie?
Is there any reason, do the ballots have to close at 7 p.m.? They just have to be open between 10 and 7, my understanding. Could they stay open until the end of our meeting and then close?
No, the ballot, the voting has to end at 7, state law.
Okay.
Now, they don't have to be counted. They could wait. Are you guys gonna stay after the meeting, which might not end till 10 or 11, and count then? Because that's what you're asking. If you're having them all at the same day, you're asking the Board of Civil Authority, which is you guys and the Justices of the Peace, to stay till the meeting ends and then vote, or the other, you guys couldn't leave, and I can't leave the meeting, but the Justices of the Peace could, but then they lose the opportunity for voting on the motions, the other articles that you're talking about. Now, maybe your meeting will end in 20 minutes, but it might take 3 hours. You can't estimate that. And I just think it's risky you cannot ask the Board of Civil Authority to leave the meeting to count, or even to sit in the back of the room to count, because they have to pay attention to what they're doing. And I really think it's nasty to ask them to wait and count them after the meeting.
Can they count them the next day?
Well, I mean, if
Gonna secure them.
yeah, they could, I guess, but then people are gonna start calling me at 8 o'clock in the morning saying, what was the decision on the cannabis vote?
Tell them we don't have it.
We haven't counted.
Right, right.
And I'm gonna get all kinds of flack.
Yeah.
Well, I think the only flack that I'm concerned about, honestly, is whether or not the state has any problem of us doing it that way. And if the state does not, then someone can be answering your phone so you don't have to, and you can concentrate on counting the votes the next day if we're legally allowed to do that.
I don't know. I would guess we could, but it's.
The different ones I've talked to around town, and, they feel like it's getting really confusing.
Yes.
And they think that we should hold the meeting on the taxes the day we had it scheduled. And then, like, the only reason the pot one got pushed out because it had to be by Australian ballot. And we had to have 30 days in between our last meeting and the time we got it out there. So, I mean, I don't know what day we got it scheduled now. And we were supposed to have an answer by October 1st. I don't think we want to go too long beyond that but I recommend going, I guess, with the number 1 because.
Okay. Are you there?
No.
He disconnected.
Sorry. 9 or 8?
9.
Voicemail.
Battery died.
Hi. I'm putting you back on speakerphone. Hold on. Continue.
I said I'd recommend going with the one where we're gonna have the meeting on the day that we had it scheduled, because to tell you the truth, I think the tax ticket is the point of the marijuana. We keep putting it off, so we're supposed to raise it by taxes. A lot of people are gonna have to scramble around and get their money together to do this, so. I guess I go with the number 1, I think that's the one we kind of got stuck on last time, wasn't it?
We got stuck. It was a 2-2 vote last time with no tiebreaker.
Right.
Chris?
So today's the 6th.
Yes.
So that's 2 weeks. Would you be able to get a clear flyer out to all the voters saying, this is what's happening, this is why it's happening, this is what your vote means?
We have drawn up 2, Katie and I stayed after this other meeting and drew up 2 flyers. One says that the Tuesday, September 20th meeting will still go on for the surplus and wind articles, and the cannabis article 1 and 2 were warned incorrectly as such, cannot do a floor vote to approve. Voting must happen by Australian ballot and will happen separately via normal or early voting and in-person voting on October, whatever day we just do. And the other flyer is to cancel the 20th altogether and do everything at an October meeting. So we have flyers already somewhat prepared.
And those flyers also explained what your votes mean,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Just to clarify.
Vote yes, vote.
A vote,
Yes.
yes. A yes vote means to use the unassigned surplus funds for taxes. A no vote means you do not want to and want a tax bill reissued. A yes vote for the cannabis means that you would be allowing a cannabis retailer to start a business here in the town of Newfane. A no vote for retail cannabis 1 and integrated retail cannabis 1 and 2 means that you do not want a cannabis retailer to open a business in the town of Newfane. So you must vote for each article and they do not need to be the same. So we have those all ready to go, a little clearer than the last one.
I do think we have to clarify the difference between regular retail and integrated retail, because otherwise people won't understand why we broke it out into 2 different articles. But there was some very clear thinking about why to do that. And I think
Integrated needs to be explained further.
Yeah.
Okay.
because in a lot, like, for example, the gentleman who was here last time talked about in Jamaica why they split their vote to be in favor of retail but against integrated.
Yep.
Okay. So the problem at hand is, now what do? Do we A, keep the Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the firehouse to have a floor vote on the surplus and wind art, and do cannabis Article 1 and 2 separately another time in October via Australian ballot? Or B, cancel it all together and redo everything all at the same time in October?
I still strongly feel like we need to cancel everything and have one day that we have all of the articles. We do the early voting, we do all of that. But because we're coming back in November again for the 3rd vote, this is part of the issue. I don't think we can get the townspeople to show up 3 times. I just don't think it's going to happen. Not in the numbers that we're looking for to make such a huge decisions.
I personally feel like keeping it separate is good. If people feel strongly about these issues, they will come out and deal with these issues.
There was a 4th option,
4th option? Can you repeat?
moving everything to town meeting day.
Yes, that was option
3.
C. A, B, and C.
Well, as far as the marijuana thing, we're supposed to have a decision by October 1st, right?
Right.
No. There's no requirement that we decide by October 1st. We just felt strongly that there was a value in deciding it by October 1st in case anyone from the town was requesting a license. They would be held up from being able to start until the town had voted.
Right. October 1st is the earliest somebody can get a license in the state.
Okay.
So if we voted the affirmative by October 1st and they were ready to go, they would be able to open as soon as possible. So if somebody is already lined up and ready to go, this will delay their business
By
Right.
2
by
weeks.
a couple weeks.
You do know
Or
that,
by,
A couple weeks don't matter. And
Hold on 1 second. Carol's speaking, 1 second.
you do know that they're gonna need a zoning permit as well, right?
no, there's no zoning.
No, there's no zoning.
We have zoning requiring home businesses to get a zoning permit. If they're gonna sell something from their home, they're gonna need a zoning permit. There's parking requirements and all sorts of that stuff in your zoning ordinance.
Another thing to think about. Okay,
I
who was speaking?
still vote number 1, but.
Mike, hold on.
Motion.
We haven't done a motion yet. We're still having a round table. Chris?
at that meeting, there was a discussion about this, and I think Katie went to the computer and got some information off from it that said that cannabis sales was allowed anywhere, and that's by the state.
Right, they wouldn't be saying they can't sell cannabis, but we have zoning requirements for parking and stuff like that to have a business in your home. And that's not for that particular thing, that's for anything. And I think if you're gonna require zoning permits for opening a business,
Do artists follow these rules and get permits for you for this?
they had better, I don't know, I don't deal with what comes through, but businesses have to have permits in their home,
No matter what they're selling.
no matter what they're selling.
What about a yard sale?
Jeff, do you have any words of advice?
No,
Do you have a permit?
I do not have a permit. I also don't have retail hours.
See, and it doesn't say you can't make things in your home, it says you gotta have a permit to sell, to have people coming to your home to buy, you know, it's.
I only sell to visitors.
What if you do it like a lemonade? Then what?
Not a mute.
So,
See, that's what I say. I think we should keep them separate. Look how confused we are just trying to figure it out between the two, you know, I mean, I would say that do the damn tax thing, and then we'll put the meetings, because it's all gonna be Australian ballot, for the marijuana stuff.
I feel strongly that way too.
I don't think it's gonna be an issue. I feel like people feel pretty strongly about both of these things, and we're gonna have a pretty decent turnout for both of them.
If, just a question, but if you proceed with the 20th, as written and as warned, and then make a change on the two issues that need to be done by Australian ballot, couldn't they come in to the town office to vote Australian ballot after we re-warn that?
Oh, there's gonna be, early voting, people can call and have us mail them the ballot. They're not gonna have to go to the firehouse to vote.
Right.
They can call and say, mail it to me, or they can come in and fill it out, that's, yeah.
Would we have to re-warn those?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There's gonna have to be another informational meeting as well.
And we can do that at a regular select board meeting.
Yep.
Okay, so our select board meetings in October are the 3rd and 17th. If we were to do Australian ballot, we would need to have an informational meeting at how many days prior to?
No less than 30, no more than 45. It has to be warned.
But we can have an informational meeting on, let's just say, the 17th. And when can early voting start? Let's just use the 17th for instance.
If we re-warned it now, today being the 6th, you could have the voting 30 days, between 30 and 45 days. That would give us October, is it after Columbus Day?
Yes.
Okay.
So, 1, 2, 3. 30th is the 7th of October. 31, 32. The 22nd is a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So you'd have to have it between the 7th and the 22nd.
Okay.
That would be when you're voting.
The voting would occur between the 7th and the 22nd?
Yeah.
So sometime in the week after Indigenous Peoples'
After
Day,
your informational meeting on the 17th.
after the 17th, right? So it'd have to be sometime between the 18th.
That means I have to get the warning out tomorrow, giving us a 3-day leeway. You could do it in the week following your meeting on the 17th.
We could do an informational or just vote?
Informational and the vote.
Why couldn't we do the informational at our 17th meeting?
You can.
And then the vote would occur the rest of the week. Okay, so that's an idea.
Voting starts 30 days, 20 days, so before
Yeah.
the day you warn the Australian ballot for it. But you should have your informational meeting before you have your voting open. Because,
So we could have that on October 3rd, that's our first meeting. Have the informational meeting as part of our select board meeting
On October 3rd.
and the Australian balloting starts on the 7th. Right?
Is Deb still here?
No, Deb is not.
and then your Australian balloting is gonna be when? It starts on the 7th, when is the vote day?
20 days, right? That's not gonna work.
What's the 20-day for?
Early
For early voting.
Yeah.
So you could start the early voting on the 7th.
But you have to have your informational meeting. And then the end of the vote would be,
Your informational meeting would be on the 3rd. Early voting would start on the 7th, and you could do regular before the Columbus Day weekend, or after.
No,
No, it'd have to be the 20th.
No, it has to be 20 days later, right?
2 days later, so
Yes.
it'd be like,
So that would be around October 25th,
yeah, 27th, I think would be.
maybe I'm doing bad math.
October 27th.
Yeah, so Thursday the 27th, we could have the Australian ballot.
Yeah, then we do the other one on the 9th.
No, because that puts it past the 45 days.
Oh, you're right, it does.
It's the
22nd is the
22nd is the end of the
45 days.
45 days. So why couldn't you hold your informational meeting on the 20th of September when we do the other meeting,
Right,
and then do the early voting from the 7th? No, you'd have to do the early voting. It's not gonna give you enough time to warn that Australian.
right.
Because you need 30-day notice that there's gonna be the Australian vote.
Juanetta, can you repeat that? You said there has to be 30 to 45 days notice.
For the warning.
And for the warning, and voting can start 20 days early, but that means we still have to pack it all inside of 45 days max. Yes?
Yes.
All right. What's 45 days from Friday?
Uh,
7, 14, 21, 28, 35.
October 24.
yeah,
Okay. So can we have our meeting the week of sometime between the 17th and the 21st? or our voting day, sorry.
You have to
And
have
start-
the informational meeting 20 days prior to
At least.
the Australian
Right,
ballot.
I understand that.
Can we not have the informational meeting be part of the special town meeting?
The informational could be on the 20th.
So if it were on the 20th, that would
Because
give us time
that's already
to.
a warned meeting.
Right, so that would give us time to start early voting prior to the Australian ballot on
The 24th?
the 24th, Monday the 24th.
Sometime between the 17th and the 21st, ideally, because the 24th is a Monday.
Like Wednesday the 19th, that would still give us 30 days or 20 days to start early voting.
Carol, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I'm just totally lost, and I'm not sure why we're getting towards the end of October for the Australian ballot date. If you would need a 30-day warning for the ballot for the Australian date, and it's going in the paper later this week, you could probably have your vote in early October if you do your, right? You're saying if you got the warning to the reformer tomorrow, you count on it being out by Saturday.
You have to give them 3 days notice.
Right, and so then you're only working 30 days from that date for the date of your Australian ballot, then not 45, it doesn't have to be 45. And so do your informational on the 20th, and
But realistically, so that puts us into the week of Indigenous Peoples Columbus Day weekend.
Right.
Week, which would be the 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, somewhere in there for the actual Australian ballot day where people can come in and vote.
Right.
It's a week.
Wednesday the 12th.
Oh, I'm available for any day.
Yeah, I'm available for that.
but you have to have your, informational meeting sooner, that's all.
So early voting could start after the 11th, if you have 20 days after the informational meeting?
No, it doesn't have to wait.
No, so we're looking at having an informational meeting like next week.
After the informational meeting. That's not,
Okay,
there's no,
that's the early voting, but then it's 30 days after this.
I'm not sure on the requirement on how long after the informational meeting your regular Australian ballot has to be.
I thought it was 20 days.
20 days after the informational meeting. Well, that would make sense if you were to start early voting the day after your meeting, then the earliest you could have it is 20 days.
Yeah.
But before we can even make all of that decision, we have to decide if we're going to do option A or option B. And again, option A is to keep the meeting on September 20th to actually do a floor vote on the surplus and wind art and get that resolved. Possibly having a special meeting and discuss the cannabis articles. And then have the Australian ballot early voting for the second week of October. The second one is to cancel everything and have a new meeting for all of it on a date to be held in October.
And the informational meeting as well would be going through all of it again.
Yes.
Right.
Everything all over again. So is there a motion from anyone?
I make the motion to go to
All right, Mike has made a motion to go with option A, which is to keep the September 20th meeting and doing the floor vote on the surplus issue and the wind dart issue, and doing the Australian ballot as a separate.
And a special
Special town meeting at
special
the,
town meeting at that time.
The information.
The informational
The information,
meeting with the
right, yes.
special town meeting.
I would second that.
All right, is there any further discussion on which option we are voting on, A or B? Are we ready for a vote? All those in favor with going with option A, which is to have the special town meeting in person Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. to vote as a floor vote the unassigned surplus funds and the WinDART articles. Also to include an informational portion for the cannabis Article 1 and integrated cannabis Article 2 to be held by Australian ballot in October. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Abstained. The ayes have it. So we will be having the special town meeting in person voting Tuesday, September 20th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Newbrook Fire Station to hold a floor vote on the article on the ballot that will ask to move a portion of the unassigned surplus funds in the amount of $300,197 to cover the shortfall of taxes for the fiscal year 2023. A yes vote means you would like to use unassigned surplus funds for the taxes. A no vote means you do not want to use unassigned surplus funds for our taxes. Instead, you would like tax bills to be reissued. This is an important vote that will affect every resident, and your participation is strongly encouraged. The other floor vote is for the appropriation of funds in the amount of $250 for WinDART. WinDART's article was left off the ballot at our March meeting, though they presented in person, as we requested of all special appropriations during the budget season last fall. It did not happen. Further, at that meeting, we will then discuss as an informational portion of that meeting, the Retail Cannabis Article 1 and Integrated Retail Cannabis Article 2, which were warned incorrectly, and as such, the town cannot do a floor vote to approve or deny retail cannabis in the town of Newfane. Voting must happen by Australian ballot and will happen separately via normal early voting and in-person voting on October date coming next. That will be discussed and a new warning will go out for that. So now, thank you everyone for being so patient. What date shall we use for our Australian ballot? One of them. Do you have dates? Are we looking at possibly the week of October 10?
I would say so, yeah.
Carol, does that week work for you, either here or there? Better than the next week?
Just, you know, you don't want to do it right on top of the vote that's coming
Right,
in
in
November.
November.
So.
Yeah.
And
I'm gonna
whatever
be
day it
having-
is, I will plan to be here with you all day.
The
I'm
12th.
gonna be having early voting coming in on both, no matter what,
Right.
Right.
but,
How does October 12th feel to everyone? I know you will not be here, Anne. But
Fine.
just
what day of the week is it?
Wednesday.
a Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Can I ask a dumb question? I'm
That's your,
sorry.
that's your half day though, right?
Yeah, well, I'll just.
We could
tell
do
her-
Thursday.
I'll just tell Lindsay that she has to take off, that's
We could do
Oh,
Thursday.
we can do it Thursday too. That would be fine.
Thursday is fine as well.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, Anne.
Now that we've moved the Australian ballot back, is there any reason why we can't make it early voting and that the voting closes on November 2nd, which is November 1st, which is election day?
It's not election day.
No?
It's the
No.
9.
What's
Yeah.
election
The
day?
9th.
It's the 9th.
Oh, the 8th. The 8th is election day.
Yeah, and that would push it too far. It'd be out of our warrant window.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Okay, so the date on the table right now is, actually, it would be October 13th, which is a Thursday. How does
I'll make a
everyone?
motion to go with that.
Is there a
I make a
second?
motion.
Mike made a motion already for us to use October 13th for the Australian ballot.
I second it.
Any further discussion? Whatever you need help with, I will help you. All right, now, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Great. Now to discuss doing the warnings. The warning for the special town meeting for the other two is already done. So now we need to just take the other two and with a better description of the integrated. Can you get that to Juanetta sometime? Katie, when do you need to have this out?
I would have to have it out this week so that they post it on Monday the 12th.
Which day?
So Juanetta, those are listed clearly in that slideshow. The explanations for both of them are listed clearly in the articles.
Yes.
Warned.
Okay, we can make that happen. So we just need to warn Article 1 and integrated Article 2, the way they're written with just further description.
Australian voting.
And is this flyer okay to send out?
There is one weird, read the sentence out loud and you will stumble over the weird part, I promise.
The special town meeting will be held at the Newbrook Fire Station, 698 Vermont Route 30 in Newfane, primarily to hold a floor vote on an article on the ballot that will ask to move a portion of the unassigned surplus funds in the amount of.
You're missing after ballot.
Primarily on an article on the ballot that will ask.
My copy doesn't have the word that.
I'm including that as I'm reading.
Yes, thank you. There's just one, it stood out immediately to me when I read it and I was like, oh, I missed a word.
All right. And the rest of it is okay?
I think so.
I think so as well.
I think so.
I will be home tomorrow night late.
So I will work with Juanetta to get this written and then we can send it to you for your confirmation as to the language, since you're our expert on the marijuana cannabis issue.
Sure. And the descriptions are listed in the articles of what the differences is between a retail cannabis license and what an integrated cannabis license is. It's listed in the article. So I don't know how much further we need to enunciate it.
I think what happened in the informational meeting that did not make it into the minutes, as I remember, was an understanding of why people are, sort of what the thinking is behind the difference of the two types of licenses.
Well, I mean, right. That's why it's important to attend informational meetings.
But they should also be in the minutes.
There are only 5 integrated cannabis licenses issued in the entire state, period. They're already going to people who are in the medical marijuana industry already. They are corporations. They are not small businessmen.
I understand that, Katie. I'm just saying that I think that has to be.
Well, okay. Okay. I'm reiterating it for anybody who's still on that hasn't heard that already, but I think that everybody's gone.
It's just awesome.
Except for Tony Leonard, perhaps.
Okay, so we've got this going. Juanetta and I will get those redone and out.
Can I ask one small word change? Hello?
Yes.
On the paragraph additionally, a floor vote, blah, blah, blah. It should say, I don't think it should say will happen, will be taken, will be made.
I like that.
Good.
Great.
I was just thinking
Yes.
that before you do a warning that we're gonna be at Newbrook on the 13th, we had best make sure.
I was going to ask if you would mind doing it here.
I don't mind, it's the other people, whether they mind, I don't mind.
They're just coming in and voting and leaving, I
Yeah.
mean, and you just need
Just one
people to
piece of
sit
paper.
here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what does the board think?
I think
I
do
think
whatever's
that's fine.
easier.
I'm sorry, Anne?
I think do whatever is easier.
Okay, and you agree, Katie?
I agree.
And is it easier for you as well? Just to
Well, I
have
don't
it
have to
here?
lug stuff up back and forth, yeah, but,
So is there a motion to have the Australian ballot done here at the town office?
I make a motion.
Second?
Second.
I'll second that.
Great. We have Jeff with a motion and a second. Any other conversation? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 who seconded it, I'm sorry?
Anne, thank you. Great, and I, like I said, I will help you with whatever you need. And there's that. So can we move on now? I think we've pretty much drilled this one to the table.
Could I ask one thing?
Sure.
Katie, before our next meeting, would you be able to just find out the question about clarifying the zoning? Question that-
Zoning.
that Carol raised.
That Carol said? Yeah, sure.
That'd be great.
Trying to communicate with the CCC, the CCB has been very difficult. I tried all last week to get in touch with them.
I would go to VLCT, or if someone, I can't attend that meeting that they're about to have with CCB being.
I'm going to be going to that. So
ask the question there.
I will do that.
Great. All right. Is there any new business? Hearing none, I am going to read our correspondence. Always a pleasure to have you, Chris. Take care. The first is from the First Congregational Church of Newfane, United Church of Christ. Dear Select Board, the Newfane Congregational Church requests that West Street and Church Street, Newfane, Vermont, be closed from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 8th, 2022, and Sunday, October 9, 2022, for the 51st Annual Heritage Festival. Thank you for considering our request. Sincerely, Billy Stark, Church Administrator of the Newfane Congregational Church.
Make a motion, we let them do it.
Second?
Second.
Any conversation? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Will you please send a letter out to Billy Stark, Juanetta, telling them that they have the go-ahead? Yes. Thank you. Dear WCSU stakeholders, this is dated 8/26/22. The WCSU board is pleased to invite individuals interested.
I'm sorry, what's WCS board?
I'm assuming it's the Wyndham Central Supervisory Union.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Thank
it
you.
is. You're welcome. They're inviting individuals interested in participating in the interviewing of our internal candidate for superintendent. We ask that before you commit to participate, please review the following commitments to be sure that you can be involved in the process in its entirety. Each session will last approximately 2.5 hours, 1 hour pre-meeting, 1 hour meeting, and half-hour follow-up. Interested parties should please email Superintendent Anton, supersearch@wyndhamcentral.org, to let the board know which stakeholder group you are interested in and which community you will represent. Superintendent Anton will hold the list of names for the board. At the executive committee's board's next meeting, a lottery system will be utilized to draw names at random to fill each interviewing team. Below are each of the groupings where they will meet and who will be identified in each group as the spokesperson. Community members at Marlboro School, Marlboro Parent Spokesperson, September 26, 6 p.m. Community member from Newbrook, Marlboro, Wardsboro, Jamaica, Stratton, Townsend, Wyndham, and Dover. Again, it is important if you commit to participate that you arrive on time, as the group The board will also be creating a list of questions for the interviewing process to give some uniformity amongst the stakeholder groups in addition to any other questions posed by the groups. The spokesperson will be asked to attend a brief meeting after the final interview session with the WCSU board at Dover School to report out to the board. We are grateful to have such an amazing group of dedicated staff and community members in our supervisory union and look forward to working together throughout this process. With great appreciation, the WCSU Executive Committee. So if you're interested, please chat with Juanetta and she will give you the email again to go forward. We have an email from T. Breeze Verdon dated August 25th, 2022. Juanetta, could you please print this and have it read at the next meeting? Thanks, Breeze. 8/25/22. To the Newfane Select Board, I am very heartened to know that you folks are taking the traffic calming situation seriously in Newfane. Here in Williamsville, it is a serious impingement upon our lifestyle. I cannot be there for the first meeting, so a couple of comments. After thinking about this issue for many years, the most realistic solution that I have heard was shared with me by Steve Levine, who heard it from Jay Wilson apparently. Since speed humps in Williamsville would make a racket in front of whoever's house they were placed, having police surveillance makes the most sense to me. Give ample warning throughout the community that it is going to happen, including possible signs stating that there is ongoing police surveillance, as well as notice in the local papers and Front Porch Forum. Give warnings instead of tickets for the first 2 weeks so that people get used to it and get the word out. I'm very aware that many people are stressed trying to make ends meet and their driving reflects that, so some slack needs to happen. For economical reasons, have a random schedule where an officer is on Dover, Grimes Hill, Depot, and Auger Hole roads half a day a week in random locations, as well as other locations of need in Newfane. I spoke with the sheriff earlier in the year who said that he did not pull somebody over unless they were going 15 miles an hour over the speed limit. That means that people could drive through Williamsville at 40 miles an hour without getting pulled over. I don't expect people to drive 25 miles an hour, that's not realistic. But 40 miles an hour, according to the statistics that we have looked at, would kill most people. I would think a police officer working 2 days a week could cover Newfane, maybe not. I think that the 25 miles an hour speed limit should only pertain to the concentrated villages of Williamsville and South Newfane. Obviously, I'm speaking only for our little corner of Newfane. I brought in someone from the State Department of Highway Safety to check the signage in the area, and he declared it appropriate. I disagree in a small way. When one is coming south on Dover Road, headed towards South Newfane, there is a 25 mile per hour speed limit that is posted where there are no houses. That says to me as a driver that this 25 mile per hour business is arbitrary, and why should I pay attention to it? I think that the signage should be reviewed. I jokingly posted on Front Porch Forum and offered to circulate a petition to install potholes a couple of months ago. So I like the idea of inverted speed bumps. Could be a winner. Again, thank you very much. T. Breeze Verdon, Williamsville. And we have an email. Well, it was from Erica Walsh to Deb Luskin, and Deb Luskin forwarding to her and the Select Board. Dear Deborah and the Select Board, thank you for putting on that informational session last night about the items on the agenda for the special town meeting in September. I have to say I'm still confused about the wording, meaning of the cannabis questions. I was wondering if you could all put together an information sheet for voters on all three of the items to the effect of a no vote on Article X means and a yes vote on Article X means. It seems like there are many intricacies to all of the things we'll be considering that it would be helpful, at least to me and maybe to others, to be able to read beforehand what the implications of each vote is. Deborah, you often do this verbally at town meeting when people raise things from the floor, but the things that are raised there are far more straightforward. I think I have a handle on item 3, so I'll try to give an example of what I mean. A yes vote on Article 3 would move $300X from the town surplus fund, the total balance of which is X amount, into the town account to make up for a shortfall of the $300,000 X amount caused by an error in the bills that were sent out to taxpayer property tax bills issued in July 2022 and covering the year July 2022 and 23 would not change. A no vote on Article 3 would require new tax bills to be issued to all Newfane property taxpayers with an increased tax of approximately $100 per 100,000 X dollars of assessed property value covering the year July 2022, June 2023. The cost of reissuing and resending these bills would be approximately X amount of dollars and would be funded by ... What would fund it? What would it be a deficit in the town admin line item and have to be made up the next year? The town surplus fund would remain at X amount. It seems like there are so many follow-on things about the cannabis items that it would be really good to be able to read out what yes and no means. Thanks, Erica Walsh. Okay. Take that into consideration. I think we have, and we're going to reword it a little bit more clearly. So, is there anything else to come before the town business this evening? We have pay orders with only 2 of us here. Is it okay for Jeff and, is there a motion for Jeff and I to sign off on it all?
Make such a motion.
Second?
Okay.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
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 Great. With that, I would like to thank everyone for being here for our select board meeting. It's always great to have the public involved with what we do and to hear what folks have to say. Juanetta?
You'll still need a third vote, third sign, won't we?
I don't know. During COVID, we made a motion where I was doing it with Mike alone. Because we didn't have people available to do all the signatures. So they're entrusting us with that decision. So again, thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate it and we look forward to seeing everyone on September 19th. Be safe and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.